welcome officially to Yoga Pilates Fusion. So it's a little bit on the low-key side comparatively speaking, but if you want to take your practice up a couple notches, make it a little bit more challenging, just some ideas. When we hold a plank, you can hold your plank a little longer, or hold chaturanga instead of a plank, which is where you bend the elbow, right? You could add a lowering down push-up, lowering down push-up, lowering down push-up in place of the chaturanga into upward dog or cobra. You can certainly pause for some of the more challenging things like, take a little extra time with a three-legged downward dog, that sort of thing, just to add a little extra core work into your particular practice. But we'll get some core work in no matter what happens, so you can follow along and still get what you need. So we're going to start our practice in a reclining position with a little bit of an elevation to the chest. Again, what we're trying to do is open up the shoulders so that we can get some access to the secondary breathing muscles that live in between the ribs and in the chest. And so any elevation would be helpful. So if you have a couple of yoga blocks, you could put one block down and then another, and you can recline over that. For today, I'm going to do something that's a little bit more universal, so I'm going to take a blanket. And pretty much everybody has blankets, so you've got a blanket, you can make this work. So I've got this blanket folded. Right now it's just folded twice. I'm going to fold it one more time and then roll it into kind of thirds, might be slightly more, slightly less, and then put that down on the ground. I'm just going to even it out a bit. Apparently that was an invitation.
It was an invitation. It was not an invitation.
All right. Find your sister. So then we're going to lay back over the blanket, or if you've got blocks, over the blocks. Now, with the block, you want it really high up your back, so it's right underneath the shoulder blades. With the blanket, you can come a little bit further onto the blanket so that it comes down a little bit lower into your back. You can go all the way to the top rim of the pelvis if that feels okay. For me, it's usually best if I stop kind of near the bottom rib, so just below that point. And then get yourself sort of centered on the blanket, so it feels like there's a little bit of a drop off for the shoulders, but that you're not going to roll in one direction more than the other. You can add a little extra under the head here, either by making a little wrinkle in your blanket or folding it in half underneath. You can also, with the blocks, turn the block one higher on under your head. And then take a moment and snuggle your shoulder blades in so that there is kind of an opening here around the arm or the chest or the shoulder. If you take your arms a little more to the wide end of the spectrum, for me anyway, that adds more stretch to the chest muscles. If the arm comes a little closer to the body, this is a little bit more subtle and has more to do with the kind of shoulder stabilizers. So you get to pick. And then you can rest your feet either on the floor with the knees up, or extend the legs, or if you like it better, you can put the feet together in a little butterfly arrangement. So I'm going to go for extended legs. Make any final adjustments, and then just pause for the breath. Trying to do when we're breathing is we're trying to breathe as deeply as possible so that we get a little bit of movement. Now you breathe deeply into your diaphragm for most of those breaths, and you'll feel that breath kind of move deeper in the belly. Let letting it get to the very top, and then sort of let the exhale linger a bit. And then every now and again, every third or fourth breath, you can hold the navel just a little bit tighter and try to get the breath to fill up more of the rib cage. This isn't an easy way to breathe, but it does help release tension around the ribs and maybe into the pecs as well. So mostly diaphragmatic breathing and an occasional breath to try to expand the ribs as much as possible. And just notice what happens as you're breathing. About 4 more deep breaths. Notice what happens to your heart rate as you inhale, and then compare that to your exhale. So you can adjust your legs a little bit as you need, because we're going to roll over and take out whatever was underneath us. And then come on back onto your back, and then pause for a moment and notice just sort of how it feels. Now, for me, the blanket leaves sort of like a feeling of an impression behind, like I can kind of feel like where the blanket was. When I use the blocks, it feels like my body, my upper back especially, but my whole back really kind of spreads out wider, and I find that really interesting and pleasant. Now, you can also do some little movement to sort of rock the back and forth, so little windshield wipers with the legs, or you can bring the knees in and sort of massage the back against the firmness of the floor. Sometimes I find it really helpful even to just roll the upper back, so it's sort of like you're doing a little twist from the upper part of the body. All right, so resting the feet on the floor, we're going to bring the arms, hello, we're going to bring the arms straight up so that the fingertips point at the ceiling. You're going to grab your elbows, and then we're going to bring the arms down. Now, if you can't quite grab your elbows, that's cool. You can grab the forearms or even grab the wrists, but as close as we can get to the arms being about shoulder distance. Okay, so we're going to start close to the chest. You're going to inhale and bring the arms up all the way over the head. Reach up through the arms and then bring them back all the way to the chest. So we're actually trying to get our upper back muscles, particularly the trapezius muscle, to do part of this work. So hopefully you'll feel this as your back, as we move the elbows, you'll feel this in your upper back. So we're taking the arms up, reach up. Try not to let anything kind of lift off the floor. Just the arms are moving and engaging these muscles in the whole back. So try to feel what part of the back is allowing all of this movement. It's very subtle, but interesting. One more like that. We'll come back to this idea in a little bit, but for now, we're going to come back to chest height and then switch which arm is on top and come back down and then up, all the way overhead. Stretch the arms up and then bring the arms back, and you're just stretching up toward the ceiling and then resting down onto the chest or the belly, and then coming up, coming all the way up overhead as high as you can stretch through your arms, and then all the way back. It's pretty subtle. You don't want the back to lift off the floor, the hips to shift. So it's just the arms that are doing this work, coming all the way up and overhead, and then coming all the way back. One more round. So we're going to stretch up, all the way back, over the head, and all the way to that point where our arms are about level with the chest, and then undo. And then just pause for a moment and feel the muscles in your back. And is there any sense of warmth or a connection or anything along that line? There might not be, because it's pretty subtle. So I need a little bit of room here, so I'm going to scooch a little closer to the camera. Hopefully that won't take me out of your field of vision. So we're going to bring the knees up so they're about lined up over the top of the pelvis. Take the arms out. You can turn your palms down to press the hands into the floor, or leave the palms up and press the upper arms into the ground. Again, we're going to try to hold the torso stable, but this time the hips are going to move. So we're going to take the legs over to the side. Now you can curl the knees in, or extend one leg out, or both legs out if you've got the room for it. Come back to the center, draw up. Come over to the side, draw in or extend the legs. Come back to the middle, draw up. So again, this is our little oblique warm-up. And also sometimes tunes me in to if there's any tenderness or soreness in my back that I might want to address along the way. Kind of pressing the upper arms into the floor. You guys, we're going to do this one more time completely through, and you're even on both sides. Just do one more. And then, once again, when you get back to the middle after doing both sides, just curl in, and then we'll pause for a moment there. Got to back up. Okay, so we're going to extend the left leg all the way out. We're going to bring the right leg in, give it a little hug. Now stretch out through that left leg and see. Can you feel a little bit of a stretch on the top of your left thigh? And if the answer to that is, yeah, I feel a little stretch right there, then that's it. You stay right there. If you don't really feel a stretch right there, reach in here, grab your foot, bring your leg a little bit more over to the right, and then as you stretch the left leg out, there might be a little bit more of a stretch right there. If you still don't feel a stretch anywhere near the front of this left thigh, bring your right thigh all the way to the ground so that the left side lifts, and then stretch into that left leg. And hopefully there'll be a stretch on that side now. There might have been from the beginning. Give yourself a nice big stretch on that left side. 2 more breaths. And we're going to come back to the center and then just hold on to the leg and spin the foot. So that rather than holding the foot, hold on to the thigh. Notice that left side coming around the other direction after a bit with the foot. And then we're going to point and flex. Release this leg into a hamstring stretch in some fashion. You can keep holding the thigh. You can reach up and grab hold of your big toe. You can hold higher up toward the ankle, but not all the way to the toe. You're just kind of finding your way into a little stretch on the right hamstrings. All right, so we're going to bend the right knee, draw that leg in. We're going to lift the shoulders off the mat. And again, if you like me, sometimes find yourself trying to drag yourself around with your neck muscles. The secret is to keep the head, so that the chin is slightly depressed or slightly tucked, but not all the way against the chest, and then try to maintain that stability with the neck. So the neck muscles are there to hold the head up, but we're not curling the chin in, right? So we're kind of allowing that pressure there. Now, if you care to, you can simply use your hands like a basket and then press your head into your hands and kind of press the hands into the head. And that will definitely secure the neck, and which will then force you to do more of this curl with your abdominals, okay? And that's my preference because it really keeps me honest. So we're gonna hold steady right there. Exhale, curl in. Inhale, switch legs. Exhale, curl in. We're just gonna go back and forth. We're not in a hurry. Reach through that leg. See if you can feel the difference between the left side and the right side, because we've done things on one side and we haven't done yet on the other side. 3 more sets. Last one. Good. So now let your head rest. Grab your left leg. Stretch the right leg out. And again, if there's a stretch sensation on the top of your right thigh or right hip, that's what we're doing. If we still don't, there's no feeling there, no sensation, grab your foot, bring your right or left leg a little more to the left, then stretch out, because that puts us more in a lunging position, right? And then all the way to the floor with this left thigh. We'll bring the right hip usually off the ground and give you more room to drop the thigh back if you need a little bigger sensation there. Hello. How are you today? Easy. Reach through that right side. To neutral. You're going to grab hold of this leg just by the thigh, let the right leg rest, and then spin your foot in circles. Go the other direction. Point and flex. All right, so we're going to see if we can't get a stretch in this left side hamstring. So you might just hold onto the thigh. You might reach up a little higher, grab the ankle, or grab your big toe. Up to you. You might feel a hamstring stretch without grabbing higher up your leg, just by trying to straighten that thing out. You might have to let go because it's too much. That's okay too. Don't forget to breathe. We got one more. All right, so we're gonna let this leg go. We're gonna bring both knees in. Okay. And curl the shoulder blades up. And again, you can keep the arms loose, keep the chin in a position where the neck is stable, but I'm I'm not dragging my neck forward to try to lift myself, right? So either hands behind your head so that you can press your head back into your hands and keep that work in your abs, or you can keep the head by itself, but just being mindful of not trying to drag yourself forward. So we're going to try to hold this shape with the torso while we extend the limbs and bring it back, okay? Extend the limbs, bring it back. Try not to let your back overarch, right? So we keep a nice neutral position in the head, a neutral position in the legs or in the low back and the pelvis. So if it feels like you're overdoing the neck, put your hands behind your head as I'm doing here. And just do the legs. We're going to do 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Good. Put your head back down. And you know, if you overuse your neck muscles, because they'll feel sore, so you can give yourself a little rinse. All right, yogis, we're going to come up to a seated position. So when you're ready, you can either rock yourself up by doing some rolling like a ball, or if rolling like a ball is not your jam, then you can just come to a seated position and hold a boat pose. So if you come up and just hold a boat, that'll work. Or you can rock and roll and rock and roll and rock, roll, rock, roll. One more time. And then hold boat. Join all of our friends. All right, we're coming around. All right. So, if one side of your neck is a little bit tighter, then we're gonna start with a stretch there. So if I roll my head over to my left shoulder, which this one could be your right shoulder, and I feel the stretch more on the right side, or I feel sensitivity on the right side of my neck, then I'm gonna pause there. If I feel the sensitivity on the left side, I'm gonna do something different. So let's say your head's going to your left shoulder and the right side of your neck is where you feel the sensitivity. So the muscle that we're gonna wanna stretch here comes from the collarbone and the sternum and comes up to the back of the skull. So we're gonna stretch that line, okay? By taking the head slightly up and away, or at least the ear slightly up and away from the collarbone, and you might even drop your hand out to the side, okay? So that's if you feel it on the opposite side of where your head's going. If you feel it on the inside, you're gonna bring your head the other direction, and the muscle that's responsible for that lives in the back, from the shoulder blade up to the back of the skull. So you're gonna drop your head forward and take your shoulder blade down, okay? So depending on where you feel it, we're gonna do one of those two. For me, it's usually this muscle in the front, so I'm going for that stretch. We're gonna hold it for a couple breaths. Now, to come out of the stretch, we're going to take one more big breath. But to come out of the stretch, whatever arm you're using, bring it back to the center, and we're going to take the head to the middle, and then pause for a moment and feel what happened. And does it feel like a change occurred in the neck, right? And is it a positive change? We'll get to the shoulders in a second. So we're going to drop the chin back down. We're going to roll the head one more time through both sides. And then you're going to go to the opposite side and feel that. So again, the question is there now a corresponding stretch either on the other side or on the inside, right? So for me, there's a little bit of a stretch here on the left side. It's not as big as it was on the right, but I'll go ahead and stay with that. So again, the muscle pattern that I'm trying to stretch goes from the collarbone and the breastbone up to the back of my ear. So I'm going to try to take the back of my ear away from my collarbone to find that stretchy spot. These muscles are really important to stretch if they're tight because one, they're related to stress and tension. So if we feel anxious or tense or stressed, these muscles tend to tighten up. And two, they put a lot of pressure on the nerves that come out of our cranium that we need for our parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so take one more big breath. Usually for me, a few breaths does the trick. And then bring your hand back. And then again, you're going to float your head up and notice. Now for some of us, the muscle here is called Sternocleidomastoid. This guy is the culprit. And then for others of us, the muscle that's too tight is the levator scapulae. So it's this little muscle that takes the scapula up towards the neck. There's a lot of muscles doing that work, but there's a little muscle that connects those two together. And so if we can release some tension from those, then we have a better chance of our practice, yoga practice or whatever, being able to actually relax our nervous system. All right, so we're gonna do some shoulder circles while we're here. Just roll the shoulder up and around and back. When you get to the bottom, go the other direction. Okay, hunch the shoulders up and let them fall. Hunch them up and let them fall. Hunch them up, let them fall. All right, so we're gonna come to an all fours position. We'll do some cat shapes. Now it's hard to get movement going in the rib cage area, but do your best to get a little bit of movement into the muscle that lives around the ribs and not just focus on the lower back. That one more time. Feel how your head is dropped down. So try to bring your spine into neutral and then find neutral with your head. If you're not sure, go past neutral and you'll feel that tension develop in the neck. See if you can find neutral. Now we're gonna bring the head over to the left, bring the tailbone to the left, and then stretch the right rib cage out. Come back to neutral. Head to the right, tailbone to the right, stretch the left rib cage out. Coming back to neutral, we're going to do that a couple more times on each side before we hold it. Coming back. Coming back one more time. Now we're going to hold here for about 5 breaths. So just hold that shape. More. So big inhale, and then exhale to neutral. See if there's a difference. Then we're going to take it the other direction and hold steady for about 5 breaths. More big breath. Back to neutral. Good. All right, so we're going to take ourselves into a little upper back twist. We'll take one arm under the other. You can take the spare arm over your back or extend it out and kind of push yourself back into your shoulder a bit. Take one more big breath. And then we'll come back to the center. yourself a little rinse. And then we'll do the opposite side. So if you're ready for the opposite side, take your opposite arm under. Give yourself a little press, or you can wrap your arm behind your back. Come on back to the middle. Take a moment there. Just let yourself rinse out. You can do a little child's pose if you like. Now, we're gonna come to downward dog. So we'll kick the heels into the ground and lift the hips. And then find the spot where it feels like you've got a solid upper body. Hug your armpits towards each other a little bit and give yourself a little walk. Now we're going to walk the hands and the feet closer together so that you wind up hanging upside down. Give your head a little rinse. Rinse out your wrists. Now you can keep your knees as bent as you need to here. We're going to inhale and come up halfway, and then you can experiment with straightening your legs out. Exhale, come as far over into the forward bend as your body allows. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, come over as far as your body allows. And then one more time, we're going to come up halfway. And this time all the way to standing. Give yourself a nice big stretch. And then you can find your way into a mountain pose. So once you've got your mountain pose, we're going to do a little bit of balance work. So you'll do your best with this. We're going to take ourselves up onto the tiptoes. And if you can reach up, do that, and then come back down on your heels. So onto the tiptoes, and back down to the heels. Onto the tiptoes, back down onto the heels. We're going to do it one more time. Up onto the tiptoes, holding steady if you can for 5, 4, a little taller, 2, 1, come on back down, take a nice big breath, leave your heels where they are, exhale, fold forward, inhale, come up halfway, exhale, fold. We're going to step back into a plank. Now you can do a full plank, or you can modify your plank, that's up to you. We're going to hold it steady for 3, 2, 1, lower down, come into cobra. You can do upward dog. Coming back to down dog. Now, bring the feet a little closer together, take your right leg up. Exhale, bring the knee in, round your back. Inhale, stretch that leg back up. Exhale, bring it in, round your back. Stretch it up, give yourself a nice big reach. And then step that foot forward. Now we're going to pause for just a moment with this lunge. So we've got the heel up in the back. And I've got the knee more or less over the ankle in the front. You want to add some blocks, and you've got them handy. Get yourself a couple blocks so you've got a little bit of an extension in your arms. So we're going to straighten out this front leg a bit and try to sink the heel towards the ground, and then bring ourselves back to the lunge. So the hips travel up, press the heel down, come back to the lunge, hips travel up, press the heel down, come back to the lunge. Now we're going to try to balance. So we're going to bring the hands out in front. You're going to take this left leg and kick it up. We're going to see if we can find an even position with the hips. And you can keep holding onto the blocks or onto the floor. Or if you can, take your hands off the ground and pray for balance. It might not work out. Taking one more breath here. Beautiful. Bring your knee in, put your foot down, fold forward, come up halfway. Exhale, fold, and then we're going to come all the way to standing. Give yourself a big stretch. Good. Take a moment. We're going to lift up onto the tiptoes and come back down. Lift up onto the tiptoes and come back down. Lift up onto the tiptoes. Come back down. We gotta do it one more time. Lift up onto your tiptoes. Hold steady there for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get a little taller. 4, 3, 2, 1. Come down. Keeping the heels on the ground. Nice big stretch. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. You're stepping back into your plank. Hold it steady for 3, 2, 1. Then lowering down. Then coming into your back bend. And then back to down dog. Feet a little close together. Take that left leg up. Exhale, bring it in. Stretch it back. Bring it in. Stretch it back. Oh, sink into your heel a bit. And then bring it in and step it forward. And again, this is going to translate into our lunge. So finding the knee over the ankle and a nice long stretch. I've added blocks because they're helpful. So we're going to lift the hips, straighten out the front leg, then press back through the heel, then come back to the lunge, okay? Lift the hips, straighten out the front leg, press back through the heel, come back to the lunge. One more, lift the hips, straighten out the front leg, press back through the heel, bend your knee, there's our lunge. So we're gonna work forward a little and pick up that right leg. And again, it might be that you're gonna level out your hip and just hold steady, just like that with your hands on the blocks or the floor. Or maybe you can find the balance without your hands. And if you fall, you catch and come back. Good, we're gonna bring that knee in, put the foot down. We're gonna come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Now we're gonna step back into down dog. Set my blocks off to the side. Hold there for just a moment, take a big breath. Good, so we're gonna come down to the belly. So if you wanna do those little extra planks I mentioned at the beginning, that's the point where you could do that. Otherwise, we're gonna come down all the way to the belly. Now, plant your hands so that they're about level with your shoulders. And then we're gonna reach back through the legs and plant the legs really firmly into the ground. Inhale, lift your chest off the floor. Draw the elbows back. Give your head a little turn, right and left. Okay, and then we're gonna come back to center and come down. Slide the hands back about an inch or so. Press the legs into the floor, lift into the cobra. Draw the elbows back a bit. And then letting your head lift in a way that feels natural, not jamming it back, but just keeping that length. We're gonna turn the head and turn the head. Turn the head, keep your back muscles working. Turn the head, one more time. Turn the head. Turn the head, come on back down. All right, we're gonna do this one more time, but now we're gonna do it a little bit farther back. We're gonna keep the head in neutral. Lift up and lift your legs. Lengthen the back of the neck without depressing the chin. Right, so we're feeling ourselves, it's almost like the back extends through the crown of the head. Beautiful, pull the elbows back. Now we're gonna slide the elbows under us and let the legs plant. So we're in a sphinx. So my elbows are a little bit forward of my shoulder. And again, what I wanna find here is the most neutral neck position I can. I've got overdeveloped trapezius muscles that push my head forward. And so what I'm trying to do here is engage enough of my shoulder blade to bring that muscle back, okay? So I'm pulling a little bit down and towards the center line with my shoulder blades to give myself that room in the back of my neck so it doesn't feel like I'm trying to hunch. All right, and then find that neutral neck position, not too lifted, not too depressed, right there in the center. Reach through your legs. And again, we're gonna turn the head to look over the shoulder. Come back to the center, try to keep that neutral neck position, and then turn it from there. Notice if one side's tighter than the other, it's not abnormal. Now we're gonna do a little trick, okay? So, we're gonna come back to the center. We're gonna start going left. So you're gonna turn your eyes all the way to the left first, and then holding them there, follow with your head. Okay, so that you just matched up with your eyes. Come back to the center. Now we're gonna turn the eyes all the way to the right, but we're gonna take the head to the left. Try to keep your eyes moving to the right, it's not easy. Notice how that changes the way your neck feels. Now bring your eyes to neutral and bring them back over to the left. And then come back to the center. You can rinse your neck out for a second. Okay, rework the legs nice and strong. Neck in neutral. We're gonna take a look to the right. Come back to the center. Same idea. So we're gonna take the eyeballs all the way to the right first. And then turn the head to the right. Keep the eyes going as far right as they're willing to go. Feel where that landed you. Come back. So we're going to turn the eyes to the left. Take the head to the right. Try to keep looking to your left for a bit. Hold steady. Now bring the eyes to neutral. Now take them all the way to the right. Back and let this go. Put your head down and rinse out a little bit. Now, sometimes when we do that movement in the neck, there are some really unusual symptoms. Like you might find yourself salivating or feel an urge to yawn or other things like that. Those are signs that it's working. Or that we're releasing tension in the neck. So if those things came up for you, it's not a bad thing. It's just interesting, okay? So we're gonna lay on one side. I'm laying on my right side, hips stacked on top of hips, legs on top of legs, shoulders on top of shoulders. If I bring my legs a little more forward or bend them, I've got more sturdy position. If I take my legs a little further back or lift them, less sturdy, right? So I'm gonna have to work harder. So you're gonna up your game to wherever is the right amount for you. I need to come forward a little bit because I'm running into the plant. So I'll reset. All right, so I'm gonna take the leg and externally rotate it so my toes are separated. And my top leg feels like my knee is kind of, and toes are pointing at a diagonal. And with that external rotation, I'm gonna lift the leg up, and then we're gonna circle. Now I'm trying to hold my torso super stable, so I could use my arm in front. Again, if I bent that bottom leg, that would give me more stability. But you're holding in with the side of the waist to try to maintain that stability. Keep the shoulders nice and stable on the back, okay? 2 more, last one. Okay, pause. Now that's the external rotation. We're gonna rotate the leg the other direction so it goes internally. So we're trying to take the whole thigh And it may not go as far as it externally rotates. That's pretty normal. So then we're gonna circle the leg theoretically in the opposite direction, but whatever. If you don't remember, just make a circle. It'll work. And hold steady through the sides of the waist. Good. Try to keep them rocking to a minimum. One more. And then we're going to come down and just notice the sides of the hip. See if you can feel any muscle activity there. So we're going to do the little clam kicks. So you're going to bend at your knee, bring the feet up. So now the feet are elevated, the knees are resting on top of each other on the floor. We're gonna open up so the top knee moves away from the bottom knee and we get this rotation. Then if you can, you're gonna extend that top leg, bring the toes together, bring the knees together. If it feels like it's too intense, you get knee pain or hip pain with the straight leg, just hold it here and then bring it back to closed, okay? So up, extend, come back, close it up. Open, extend, come back, close it up. Open, hold, come back, close it up, right? So that's how it could go. Back, close it up. We're gonna do 4 more. This is a great exercise for training the muscles in the outer hip to do the job they're supposed to do, which will take some strain away from your hip flexors. All right, last one. Close it up, and then we're gonna extend both legs back out. This area might be a little warmer, a little spicier. We're gonna take that leg up front so you can leave it straight, or you can bend at the knee and put the foot on the ground. We're gonna extend through the bottom leg. Now try to feel the muscles inside here in the belly, in the deep belly, that are helping you hold that leg up. Hip flexors do a little bit of a job this way as well. So we're gonna pulse this leg up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your inner thighs should be nice and toasty. Hold it steady. 10, 9. Try to lift more from here. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. A little bit more. 2, 1. We're gonna bring that leg down. Excellent. So we're gonna do a little twist here. Oh. Roll onto your back. Oh, feels nice. Oh, coming back to the center, we're gonna pause, give ourselves a little wiggle. So then you could just roll over onto your other side if you feel pretty confident about not needing to have the visuals. If you want the visuals, then we're just gonna spin ourselves around and do the other side. Go in this way. So again, organize yourself so that your body is stable enough for you. More stability if you're gonna rock a lot more and you're building more strength. Less stability if you're already pretty strong. So we're gonna take this top leg, rotate it into the external rotation so the toes are separated. Lift the leg, keep that rotation, and then make a circle. Try to hold that external rotation the whole time so that we really ask the muscles in the hip and glute area to do this work. They are technically glutes, just not the one you think about. Okay, last circle here. Then we're gonna internally rotate that thigh. So we're gonna really feel the difference here, hopefully, in the muscle, and then make a circle go in the other direction. And then we're gonna bring the legs together, bring the feet behind, lift the feet up so the knees are gonna go open. We'll extend that leg, bring it back and close it up. Or you'll open, hold it, bring it back and close it up, okay? So you'll figure this out for you. What's the right amount? 4 more if we can do it. Last one. Okay, we're gonna extend out, bring that leg over the top, maybe put the foot on the ground, that's up to you. Lift, feel the deep belly muscles that help you do that, and then pulse it up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it steady, lift from the deep belly for 10, 9, 8, dig in, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then bring that leg down. We're gonna do a little twist, and then we're gonna do some Shavasana. So, after you've done your little twist, then we're going to bring ourselves to the center. Now, if you've got a sketch off to work, this is an excellent time to do that. And if you've still got a few moments, then stretch out with me on your back, maybe with a little blanket under your legs or something under your head. And just pause for a moment. Take a breath so deep you can feel it all the way to your toes. Let go with a really big after a big sigh. And then wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch out your fingers. Wiggle them. Stretch them out. Wiggle them. And then we're going to give the whole body a stretch. Oh, give the wrist and ankles a little movement. And when you're ready, you can bring yourself to a seated position. So thank you for joining me today. Putting up with any Zoom weirdness that might have occurred. And we're taking a big old breath together. Nice big inhale. Big deep sigh. Namaste, yogis.